Hi, I'm Meg Bunka with My EF Coach, and today I'm going to talk to you about power sessions. Power sessions, which are also often called the Pomodoro method, are a really great way to be able to lock in and focus and have really devoted time to one particular task. So often we go through our lives with our brain having lots of different tabs open, just like you might have lots of tabs open on your web browser, and we aren't giving all of our attention to one thing. And the problem with this is that we are actually fragmenting how much thought and energy and cognitive space that we are giving to the thing we're trying to complete. And therefore, we're less productive and efficient. So, power sessions are a way to train your brain to be able to lock into that one thing for a short period of time. It's super duper important as you are first starting the process of using power sessions that you limit the amount of time you actually ask your brain to focus for. This is going to build trust and help your brain to feel safer in doing these less desirable tasks. If you're someone like me who has ADHD, then one thing that is a struggle often is that you have high resistance to doing things that are not enjoyable. And with that high resistance, what happens is you often find other things that need to be done first or that feel more important at the time that you actually sit down to do this undesirable task. And so your brain starts wandering and says like, oh my gosh, I really need to do this, or I really need to clean the toilet, I really need to call that friend, I really need to make that meal to bring to someone. And all of those I really need tos might not be as urgent as they feel, but your brain's really good at tricking you into feeling a fake urgency for something if it gets you out of doing something else. And so sometimes it's even not that the task itself is that terrible or that cumbersome or even that like uncomfortable. It's just that your brain wants to maintain control. I talk a lot with clients and classes and people that I'm teaching that I want you to think of your brain a little bit like a wild horse or a stallion that is like bucking around trying to get free and making sure that nobody else controls it. It does not want to have a bridle put on, allowing someone else to be in control. Our brains do that to us too sometimes, and we want to make sure that our brain feels safe, just like you would train a horse and first build trust. You reach out towards that horse and pull away before you get too close. You reach out and you pull away, and you keep doing that until the horse gets a sense that you're not going to hurt it. You keep pulling back, and so it knows it's okay to lean in. It's okay to get a little bit closer. So as you build trust with your brain and you limit how much you ask it to do this intense level of focus, you actually build this great sense of trust and allow your brain to grow your sustained attention span. It's a really fantastic result that happens in the end because you will feel like you can actually do those less desirable things and get them done and be efficient and effective with your time. So, how does a power session work? So, it's really important that you own a time timer. And what it needs to be is a visual time timer. Now, you might say, but I have a timer on my phone. It works great. I use it all the time. Or I have a stopwatch. I'm telling you, it has to be visual. You have to have a time timer. I can't fully explain in this short little video why it's so important, but I can tell you a couple of things. First of all, we are more visual in terms of understanding meaning from looking at a shape or a color than we are from understanding verbal things like the numbers on a clock or letters in something that's written. And so by having this shaded segment of time, your brain goes, oh, I have to work for this long. It's not 5 or 10 minutes, it's this long. And it's getting smaller, and it can see that space getting smaller as you work, which is constantly lowering resistance, which is the thing we're battling to try to do these hard tasks. And so you want a visual timer for that reason. The other thing a visual timer does that's really helpful is, again, if you're in the ADHD camp like I am, then you also are someone who probably is really great at procrastination. And the reason we're great at procrastination is because our brains work really well with urgency. As soon as something feels urgent, we're absolutely able to focus and get it done. And so this kind of a timer actually creates urgency because it tells me first, I only have to do it for this long, which releases resistance. But then it also says, I have to get it done in this amount of time, or I have to get going because I only have this amount of time. So you create this sense of urgency as well as lowering resistance at the exact same time when you use visual timers. So I really, really, really recommend using this. And I don't necessarily think you can call it a power session, at least not a Meg Bunka true power session, if you don't have a time timer. So get yourself a visual time timer. Now, once you have a time timer, you're going to choose your task. So whether you choose to put away laundry or to organize that file cabinet or that drawer that is like gotten out of control. For me, sometimes it's the junk drawer in the kitchen that has become it's not just the junk you need in your kitchen. It's like got all kinds of random stuff. In fact, I found a sock in our kitchen junk drawer the other day and it really grossed me out. But whatever that task is that you choose to do, you're going to take a guess of, I think this task will take this amount of time. If you're new to doing power sessions, you never want to do a power session for more than 15 minutes when you first start. Because of that, if you choose a task that you think will take 3 hours, then you're going to break that down into 15-minute power sessions and say, okay, 3 hours, that means that I have 4 power sessions per hour. That means I'm doing 12 power sessions. That's my guess, is that this is a 12 power session job. And then what you're going to do is gather whatever you need to do the task. So if I'm cleaning out my kitchen junk drawer, I'm going to need a sponge so I can wipe it out when I'm done. I'm going to need a space to take everything out and lay it on, like a clean kitchen counter or a box or something. And I might need a couple other cleaning supplies or something like that. So whatever I need, I get it ready. Now, I know that I also need something stimulating because doing this kind of task is boring. And so for me, I usually put in headphones and I choose like a new audiobook, or I might listen to music or a podcast or something of that nature. So get all of that ready, because once you set the timer, once you turn it on, you can do nothing else except for the task that you set out to do. And so because of that, you want to make sure you have all of your supplies ready, because you're not leaving the room to get something. You're not going to the bathroom. You're not going to go make yourself a drink, get yourself a glass of water or a cup of tea. Everything needs to be right there for completing your task. Now, you do need one extra supply, and that is a blank piece of paper and a writing utensil. And the reason why you need that is because as soon as you sit down to do that one task, as I mentioned before, your brain's like, oh my gosh, I forgot to schedule my dentist appointment. Oh my gosh, I forgot that I needed to pick up the kids. Oh my gosh. And all of the things that are going to pop into your mind are going to feel really urgent. Now, if you forgot to pick up your kids, you might actually have to reschedule your power session. But most likely, all of those things that pop up into your mind are things that don't actually have to happen right in that moment. You could do them after the 15 minutes is up. So to help your brain calm down and be relieved of all the little things that pop up and all the things that it's bucking and trying to go do, you're going to write those down on your parking lot, which is that blank piece of paper. It's your parking lot for those ideas and thoughts. You're parking them there, and you will go back to them as soon as you finish your power session. And so you keep that out, because otherwise your brain might continuously think about and take up space and open more tabs when you are trying to close all the tabs and work on just this task. So that is how a power session works. When the timer goes off, it is so important that you stop. So even if you said, let's say you're a teenager and you were like, I need 15 minutes to do these 10 math problems. And so you set your timer and you go and you're just working on math problems, and the timer goes off and you still have 3 problems left. You are done for right then. Now, that doesn't mean you're done with your math homework and you get to skip the last 3 problems. And it doesn't mean that you don't come right back to it. But you're done for the moment, and you at least have to stand up and move and do something so your brain knows that you gave it a true break. Once your brain knows you gave it a true break, it's okay to go right back into another power session. But again, we're building trust. Think of that person who's training the wild horse and they reach out and they pull back, and they reach out and they pull back. You don't build trust with your brain saying, I won't make you do really uncomfortable things for long periods of time if you ignore the timer and you keep going with the task. So it's really important at the beginning. It can feel counterintuitive and it can feel like, no, I'm on a roll. I don't want to stop. That's going to break my concentration. It actually is good to break your concentration, because when you come back, you'll have higher concentration after giving your brain even just a 1-minute break. Even if you just stand up, stretch, go get a drink of water, or walk up and down the stairs 2 times to get your blood moving a little bit faster. Anything that's going to help give your brain this sense of, okay, I got to have a break and now I'm back. So practice doing those power sessions. Remember to stop as soon as the timer goes off. Oh, and by the way, if you finish the task before the timer goes off, you also can take your break and decide what you're doing next. So I hope that was helpful. That is Power Sessions. If you liked this video or found it helpful, please share with your friends or subscribe to the channel. If you have questions, you can always reach out to my EF coach, either via the website, myefcoach.com, or meg@myefcoach.com. Have a great day.